Biology, cells, the basic units of life. About cells. Cells are the basic structural and functional units of life. There are many different types of specialized cells. In animals, there are muscle cells, bone cells, brain cells, and skin cells, to name a few. In plant cells, there can be root cells or green cells, to name a few. Here is a diagram of the basic parts of a cell. Cytoplasm, cell membrane, mitochondrion, or plural mitochondria, the nucleus, DNA found inside the nucleus, endoplasmic reticulum, the lysosome, of which there could be more than one, a ribosome, the Golgi apparatus, Now, let's talk about what each thing does. Cytoplasm. The cytoplasm is the jelly-like fluid that is found in a cell. It is made up of mostly water and salt. It is present within the cell membrane of all cell types and contains all organelles and cell parts. It helps to fill out the cell and keep organelles in their places. Extracellular fluid. This is the aqueous water-based solution found outside the cytosol. The cytosol is the liquid portion of the cytoplasm. This is where many chemical reactions occur within the cell. The cell membrane. This is a thin, flexible film that separates the cytosol and cell organelles from the extracellular fluid. It holds the contents of the cell together. It also controls the movement of materials in and out of the cell. Membranes. Plant and animal cells have a number of organelles that are surrounded by membranes. A membrane is a bilayer, meaning a double layer, of fat or lipid molecules called phospholipids and other compounds called proteins and carbohydrates. Mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell. Circular or rod-shaped membranous organelles that float freely in the cytosol. Cellular respiration, a series of chemical changes that produce compounds that cells use as a source of energy, takes place in the mitochondria. Mitochondria consists of two membranes, the smooth outer layer, highly folded inner membrane called cristae, or singular crista. Cristae contains compounds that help carry out the reactions of cellular respiration, and provide a large surface area on which these reactions occur. Different body cells have different numbers of mitochondria depending on how much energy is required. So when determining the number of mitochondria in the body cell, determine how much energy does this body cell need. Here is a close-up of the mitochondrion. The matrix is the interior space of the mitochondrion, and it is filled with a protein-rich fluid where many chemical reactions occur. The nucleus is the brain of the cell, the control center that directs all the cell's activities. The nucleus is separated from the cytoplasm by a porous double membrane called the nuclear envelope, and it is filled with nucleoplasm. Let's focus now on nucleoplasm. Nucleoplasm is a mixture of chemicals that store information used by other cell organelles in carrying out their functions. It's very rich in compounds called nucleic acids, including ribonucleic acid or RNA and deoxyribonucleic acid called DNA. Ribosomes. Ribosomes are the organelles that are used by the cell to produce proteins through a process called protein synthesis. Ribosomes either float in the cytoplasm or can attach to the membranes. Usually, free-floating ribosomes produce proteins used inside the cell, and the membrane-attached ribosomes manufacture proteins for use outside the cell. Endoplasmic reticulum. The manufacturing and packaging system is also considered the transportation system in the cell. Let's take a closer look. Complicated system of membranous tubes and canals that connect the nuclear envelope. Think of the endoplasmic reticulum as a complex subway system with crisscrossing tunnels and stations. There are two types of endoplasmic reticulum: rough endoplasmic reticulum, RER, which contains attached ribosomes where many proteins are manufactured. We also have smooth endoplasmic reticulum, or SER, where no ribosomes are located and where fat is produced. Remember, vesicles are considered packages. They're from where the membrane of the endoplasmic reticulum pinches off at the ends and travels to the Golgi apparatus. The Golgi apparatus, also considered a packaging organelle, is made up of several membranous tubes that look like a stack of flattened balloons. Chemically changes the fats and proteins produced in the endoplasmic reticulum and packages them in vesicles. The vesicles then move through the cytoplasm, attach to the cell membrane, and release their contents into the extracellular fluid. Now we have lysosomes, which are found only in animal cells. They're considered enzyme packages. Some of the vesicles formed by the Golgi apparatus are called lysosomes. They're cell organelles that contain proteins that break down the molecules that cells are made of into their individual chemical components. This is considered to help in the digestion of food particles. Lysosomes are also used to destroy potentially dangerous microorganisms such as bacteria and viruses. When a cell gets old, the lysosomes break apart and decompose the entire cell. This is called apoptosis, seen as the cell committing suicide. The cell wall is found only in cells of plants. The cell wall provides an additional outer covering found only in plant cells. Cell walls are firm yet porous. Cell walls give plants the rigidity while allowing water and dissolved materials to pass through. And here in the structure of the plant, we can see the cell wall, which is the darker green membrane around the entire plant cell. Plastids. Plastids are free-floating membranous organelles found in the cytosol of plant cells. Chloroplasts. A plastid that contains all the chemicals necessary to perform photosynthesis is called a chloroplast. Photosynthesis is a set of chemical reactions that convert carbon dioxide and water from the extracellular fluid into molecules that the plant cell can use as fuel. Here is a diagram of the chloroplast. It has two membranes, an outer membrane and an inner membrane. The thylakoid is a system of interconnected compartments called thylakoids. The grana, or thylakoids, are usually stacked on top of one another, forming the structure called grana. The chlorophyll is the green pigment found in the membranes of the thylakoid. Chlorophyll is responsible for the start of photosynthesis. The stroma, the protein-rich fluid found in the space between the thylakoid membranes and the inner chloroplast membranes. Compounds needed for photosynthesis and DNA that allow chloroplasts to reproduce are found here. Other plastids, the amyloplasts, are white or colorless plastids that store the energy-rich products of photosynthesis in the form of starch. Chromoplasts are very colorful plastids containing the red, orange, and yellow pigments found in flowers, fruits, and vegetables. Vacuoles. Large membrane-bound sacs filled with a watery solution containing dissolved sugars, minerals, and proteins are vacuoles. One or two large vacuoles help keep the cell membrane pressed firmly against the cell wall. This pressure is called turgor pressure. Turgor pressure is responsible for giving fresh vegetables, such as celery and carrots, their firm shape. As the plant cells lose water, the vacuoles will shrink, the turgor pressure will drop, causing the structures, such as the stems and roots, to become limp and wilted. Before starting to work on your lesson assignment, here's some interesting information. Putting stem cells to work. Many medical experts believe that stem cells can be used to treat a variety of illnesses and injuries, including wound healing, bone regeneration, and disease such as cancer, heart disease, and Parkinson's disease.